My name is Asten, and in this video I'm going to talk about the books that I read from about mid-November to December 2019. It's been a while since I've made a video. There was some stuff going with YouTube. Anyway, I'm doing this video now. I don't know how soon after this one we'll have other videos, but let's just get into it. I'm going to talk about the books I read from mid-November to the end of December 2019. And we have quite a lot to get through, so I'm going to try to make this not too long. I'm wearing a big vest because it's cold here because it's winter. So I'm just going to quickly go through the books and give you a brief description and what I thought and stuff. It's been a while with some of these, so yeah, I don't remember a lot of all of them. The first book that I read after the last video that I posted, which was I think in mid-November somewhere, is Happy Fat by Sofie Hagen. And this is a memoir. The line is taking up space in a world that wants to shrink you. This is a memoir, also sort of part social commentary about Sofie Hagen and her body type and diet culture. And it's been a while since I read this. I absolutely loved it at the time, but now I'm struggling to get into words. It's been a long time since I made a video. The book has chapters on written by Sofie Hagen, but every now and then between the chapters there's an interview with another person who is also part of a marginalized group or multiple groups in some way. So, for example, based on what I can remember, she interviews a person who is fat and black, or a person who is fat and trans, or... Well, I can't quite remember exactly about all these people, but there are several parts in the book. And I thought that was interesting. I also loved the chapters about Sofie herself. She is a comedian. She grew up in Denmark and then at some point moved to United Kingdom, Britain. I didn't actually know her before reading this book. I just wanted to read this book based on the premise because I am fat too, and so I'm interested in reading books like this because there's lots of stuff that I can relate to. I thought she had some really interesting things to say, but it's been a while, so yeah. The book also has lots of humor. As I said, she's a comedian, and so I also really liked that. The next book I read was To Be Honest by Maggie and Martin. This is a young adult contemporary fiction about a fat girl whose mother was part of this weight loss show, TV show. And ever since then, her mother has been really kind of, let's just say, being strict to her daughter about what she eats and stuff like that. The main character's name is Savannah, and her sister, her older sister, is just moving to college because she's going to college, and her sister is kind of her best friend, so she's missing her, and there is also a romance. I really enjoyed this book. I did feel that the ending kind of, I wish it kind of gone on a bit beyond that. It felt wrapped up a bit too quickly, but other than that, I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the fat representation, lots of stuff to relate to. There were some twists, trigger warnings for eating disorders, and yeah, I enjoyed this book. Then I read the Jaarclub by Linda van Rijn. This is a Dutch literary thriller, and this is about a group of friends who used to be in this year club when they were studying, which is the title, and their club exists 15 years now. It's like the 15th anniversary, and so all of them are meeting up in Vienna during the winter, but one of the members of this year club passed away during that everyone was studying. So the people in the club are thinking about this. I should point out they're all women. but they're bringing their partners, those who have them. And well, it's a thriller. It's like a, you know, like a murder mystery kind of thing. I kind of feel like, yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because I actually feel like the bit on the back gives away a bit too much, in the sense that what's on the back doesn't happen until like halfway through the book. I felt like it took quite a while to get a bit of suspense. In that sense, it's really like a literary thriller, in that like part of it feels like a novel, if that makes sense. So it's not, the suspense doesn't really start until like the second half of the book. I had actually not read anything by this author before. I do have more of her books. So yeah, it was enjoyable to read while I read it. It read quickly, but I was a bit disappointed with it because there was just the mystery seemed to get like solved really quickly, and so it felt like that the lead up, the introduction, took way more time than like the actual mystery bit at the end. And yeah. Oh, another thing I should say about this copy, it came with a short story as an extra called Plek 118. Which was a nice little extra, and I actually didn't know that until I like opened up the book. And but I enjoyed that short story. So yeah, overall this was not as good as I wished it had been, but I did enjoy the wintry atmosphere because I read it during winter. Next up, I read Who Am I by Asten Clarke. This is, as it says here, an autism and BPD story. So this is a really short memoir about someone with autism and BPD, and borderline personality disorder. And this is, I think, an independently published book that I found on Amazon really cheap a while ago. So I decided to give it a try because it sounded quite interesting. And it was a nice read, but I also thought it was quite short, and I wish it had explained a bit more. The book kind of assumes that you know a lot about autism and BPD, at least that's how I felt. Now, while I know a lot about autism, I'm autistic myself, I don't know a whole lot about borderline personality disorder. So yeah, I have wanted more of this book, but it was interesting though to read about her as a person. So it was a nice read, but I had wanted more. Next up, I read the middle grade book Speechless by Kate Darbishire. Though this video is meant for adults and not targeted at children. This, I think, is also possibly a self-published book, at least based on what I can tell, if I remember it correctly. This is about a girl named Harriet. She's 11 and she has cerebral palsy. She can't walk much and she uses a wheelchair, and her voice sounds kind of weird to other people, so she doesn't actually speak much. So she chooses to be speechless. So it's hard for her to make friends at school when she doesn't talk to them. And then, well, the back talks about some other things that happen, but again, I don't want too many spoilers for later on in the book. I enjoyed this book a lot. Some things happen with her family life, and yeah, I like this one a lot. I haven't read that many books with this disability in it. I have read a short story, I believe, but like not actually like full novels, although this is, yeah, like just over 200 pages. But yeah, I really like this. Then we have The Little Big Things by Henry Fraser. This is a memoir, and this is written by Henry. And when Henry was 17, he had an accident, and then he got paralyzed from the shoulders down. Apparently he is somewhat famous, but I didn't know him. He's from the UK, so if you live in Britain, and have been living in Britain for a while, you may have heard of him or not, I don't know. But either way, I really like this memoir. I like this writing style. There's also some pictures in the book. When I finished reading this book, I found out there's gonna be another book written by the author, so I look forward to that. Although I may not be able to afford it anytime soon, but that's another story. Yeah, I don't know exactly how much to say, depending on whether, like, if you already have heard of him, then you'll know bits about him, but if you don't, I don't want to like spoil it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I thought this was a really nice read. I mean, that's probably not the right word to use, but it was kind of like inspirational, and like I found it interesting reading about his journey. And yeah, now we get to a couple of books about feminism. So first I read We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adiche. This is an essay based on a TED talk that the author gave, and I liked it a lot, but one problem that I had with this is that she doesn't take trans people into account. So her feminism in this book is more based on cis men and cis women, and so that was something that bothered me, which is also what several other people have said. So yeah, I couldn't give this full marks, but I did find it a good read otherwise. Then I read, by the same author, Dear Ijeawele, A Feminist Manifesto in 15 Suggestions. This book is based on a letter that the author, Chimamanda Ngozi Adiche, wrote to her sister about the sister's daughter, and how the sister basically, Ijeawele, had a question about how can I raise my daughter to be a feminist. So it's split up into like 15 different suggestions, and it kind of, a lot of it kind of also makes sense, but yeah, again, a nice read. I'm not a parent, so I can't say much about it, but it was an interesting read. Now we get to a Dutch book called Damn Honey, and this is by Lotte and Nydia from Voorthuizen. And this is a really short non-fiction book written for young adults, but also for adults, about feminism, and it discusses some topics. It's been a while since I read this, and the next book I'm going to talk about is also written by these authors, which they wrote after this one. So this was their first book, and I liked it, but it was short, so I wanted more, which is this book, Happy en Vriend by Lotte and Nydia from Voorthuizen. This is a full-length book that they wrote after this one was quite successful, both published by Blossom Books, and I really love this. This was so good. It talks about many aspects, and it gives you some responses that you could give when people say certain things, as it says here on the cover. These authors, just like in this book, they take intersectionality into account, and like other marginalized groups, people of color and LGBT and disabilities, and yeah. So I thought that was really good. One of the authors is a lesbian. So, and yeah, this was, yeah. It also talks about a lot of like research that the authors quote, and that they talk about, and I just, yeah. This was great. I think it's definitely one worth rereading in a while as well. Now we get to Feministen, dragen geen roze en andere leugens. Or I think the English is Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies by Scarlett Curtis and also a bunch of other people. In this book, many different, well, you can't really see that, authors have been asked to write a piece on feminism, and so it's divided up into different sections, and this Dutch edition comes with some extra essays by Dutch feminists, so I appreciate that. The authors of these two books also got a piece in this, and yeah, I like this book. I didn't find it as good as much as I love this one, but this was a really good read. I mean, of course, some pieces you resonate more with than others, and yeah, I liked also the intersectionality in that book, and that they, you know, there's a variety of people writing these essays, and yeah. Now I think we get to the books I read in December, if I'm not mistaken. So the first book that I read in December is volume 15 of Fruit Basket by Natsuki Takaya, and I also read volume 16 also by Natsuki Takaya. Now I have, it's currently the beginning of January, and I have actually just read volumes 17 and 18. So I have to admit, I can't quite remember where exactly in the story was in these books. But this manga series is about the Soma family, who are cursed to, some of them are zodiac animals, and yeah, I have talked about this series in many videos before, so I enjoyed those 2 volumes, and I look forward to finishing off the series in 2020. Then I read All Summer Long by Hope Larson. This is a graphic novel. It's quite, yeah, a bit colourful, and it is about a 13-year-old girl named Bina, and she is kind of bored in the summer because her best friend, Asten, is off to soccer camp for a month, but usually they spend all their time together, so she is kind of feeling bored and lonely. And yeah, this book is basically about friendship and like kind of a bit coming of age, finding yourself kind of thing, and it was an enjoyable read. Then I read Fleur Humeur Voorspelt de Toekomst by Megan MacDonald. In English, this is Judy Moody Predicts the Future. This is, I think, book 4 in the Judy Moody series. I have read book 5 a while ago, and I found this at a library sale, so I picked it up. It also has illustrations by Peter Reynolds. But not all the pages have illustrations. And yeah, in this book, Fleur Humeur, or Judy Moody, has this ring that changes color based on your mood. I don't know if you remember that. I had one of those when I was much younger, as a kid. Yeah, this is an older book, so anyway, she's using the ring to make predictions, and it was a fun read. This is, I want to say, for more like for 6 or 7 year olds, something like that, maybe 8-year-olds. Yeah. But I'm making this review for adults. I hope that was clear. Then I read Stick Dog by Tom Watson. This is book 1 in the Stick Dog series. And Tom Watson makes the drawings, but then Ethan Long improves on them. So this is a sort of diary-like book by Stick Dog. And the story is about Stick Dog and his friends, and they really want to have some barbecue. The food that they smell. Yeah, this was enjoyable. I really liked it. It was also funny, and also I like dogs. So. Then I read It's Not Okay to Feel Blue and Other Lies by Scarlett Curtis and a bunch of other people. They have similar covers, as you can see, because they're both they're curated and edited by Scarlett Curtis. But they, you know, they can be read totally separately from each other. Other than Scarlett Curtis and some other people, a lot of the other people are also new. This book is about mental health, and lots of essays by all these people. Well, I mean, one essay per person about mental health. Other than Scarlett Curtis, she's got a few entries. Anyway, I picked this book up because my friend Charlie Brook, from the channel Charlie Brook, although she hasn't made a video in a while, she picked this up, and I was like, well, that looks like that other book that I have. And so, yeah, I came across this in the bookshop. So yeah, I really liked this one. Some essays I like more than others, obviously. And I also like that, again, a variety of authors were selected and attention was given to LGBT people. There was some mention of some like disabilities and illnesses, people of color, you know, marginalized groups and all that. There wasn't, to my knowledge, anyone, you know, anyone in there talking about autism or ADD or, you know, stuff like that. But so that was something I personally would have liked to see, but that's more because of my personal experience. But yeah, I really, really liked this book, all the essays, and I think I read it at a good time in my life. And I think it's one to reread as well, or maybe at least reread, you know, like the pieces that appeal at the time or something. But yeah, so this book is also divided into several sections. And I also quite liked that specific essays come with trigger warnings when that person, the author, discusses certain things that they went through. And I thought that was quite good because, you know, with mental health, it's important that, you know, people can skip that essay if that's something that they're not ready to read about right now, or that they might be triggered or stuff like that. So I thought that was really good. So yeah, this was a great read. Then I buddy read this book, A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig. I buddy read this with Linda from Linda's World of Books. And we both really loved this book. It's very Christmassy. And I loved buddy reading this book with Linda. This book is about a boy named Nicholas, and he lives in the woods with his father in, I'm gonna say Scandinavia somewhere, because I think it might have been Finland, but either way. And so his father goes missing. He is on like this quest for the king, and so Nicholas's aunt comes to stay with him, but she, the father's sister, but she is really mean. So Nicholas decides to leave and go find his father. That's, I guess, the basic premise. There are lots of cute illustrations by Chris Moore. There are 2 more books in this series, which I have both, but I haven't read them yet. Anyway, this book easily stands on its own. It has elves. It was lovely. It made me feel very Christmassy, which I hadn't really been up to that point. So yeah, we both really loved this. Only a couple of books left to talk about now. The next one is Lovely, Dark and Deep by Justina Chen. And this is a young adult contemporary. It has romance in it, and it is about a girl named Viola Lee. She is, I can't remember now if she's Asian, living in the United States, or she is is she half Chinese and half American? I can't remember, honestly. I mean, I can't even remember her name. But yeah, the premise is she suddenly gets really photosensitive. There are more technical names in the book, but I can't remember those. So she gets really sensitive to light, and basically has to then change her life, and yeah. And there's also a romance. This book reminded me a bit of, I have read a memoir called Girl in the Dark by Anna something. Well, I can't remember, but that was a memoir of someone who had some kind of photo illness. I can't remember her diagnosis, but that was an interesting book to read. And so is this. This is of course fictional, whereas the memoir wasn't. There are also some kind of superhero bits in here, and I want to say she works in a Chinese restaurant, but I could be misremembering it because, like I said, it's been a while, and so I did really like that some pages of the book, I don't know if you can see that, well, this is just a random bit. You see this page is kind of grey, whereas most of the other pages are white. Well, towards the book you have more and more like darker pages, and this kind of relates to the story and the main character and what's going on and stuff, and I thought that was a sort of nice creative spin on that. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. I don't know like how accurate the representation is or not of the photo disease. The author herself is Asian, living in the United States, I think. So, but like I said, it's a while since I read this book and I normally look up stuff about the author and stuff, so I don't remember now, but so that part is, I think, on Voices representation, but I don't know about the photosensitive parts. But it did remind me of that memoir I read, which is obviously on Voices. So yeah, I thought this was a nice, yeah, it was good, yeah. Almost done now. I buddy read The Golden Compass or The Northern Lights by Philip Pullman with Emily from Novelle Novels and also with Clint from Reach Readers, although he was kind of behind, so I didn't really talk with him much. This is book 1 in his Dark Materials, which is quite an older series, but I didn't read it till now. and Emily wanted to read it, so, and I picked this book and also the other two up years ago. I didn't realize that the movie covers at the time, but I picked them up for the book fair. I have seen the film The Golden Compass some years ago, and I liked it at the time, but I couldn't remember much when I started to read this book. This is a fantasy series. I would personally call it middle grade, but some people have said young adult, so it's difficult to describe this book. It's about Lyra, and she is given sort of this strange, it's called an alethiometer? I don't know. The book takes place in kind of an alternate world. So Lyra lives at a college in Oxford, if I'm not mistaken. So there are some like real world names in there, but it's very much a fantasy world. And I also really liked this character. And of course Lyra was really great also. In this world, people have what they call demons or diamonds, and they are like sort of like companions, but it goes further than that. And yeah, this was definitely very good and like my favorite read of December, and Emily loved it a lot too, and so we're gonna buddy read book 2 and hopefully also book 3 in 2020, and Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures will be joining us for book 2 hopefully in March. And I don't know if Clint is joining us or not. I don't know, but if he wants to, that's fine with me. So yeah, this was a great read, and I was quite surprised because I had heard somewhat mixed things from depending on who I asked, but yeah, I loved this a lot more than I thought I would, so that was a nice surprise. So yeah, the second to last book that I read in 2019 was The Christmas Guest by Daisy Bell. I read this around Christmas time. This book is about a puppy. It is written from his point of view, and he runs away from home because his owners neglect him and abuse him, and yeah, so he escapes and then finds himself in the middle of nowhere, and then he finds this new home with Claire and Ben and their daughter Emily, and he is hoping he can stay there. Emily is ill, and I can't remember now exactly how old she is, maybe 6 or something, but I can't quite remember. But this was really cute and sweet and Christmassy, and also somewhat hard-hitting. There was some heavy topics discussed. It is all done from the point of view of the dog, and I thought that was really interesting. I have read books before from the points of view of dogs. But yeah, I just thought this was really good, and I hadn't actually heard anything about this. It was just, I picked it up some time ago at a book fair a couple of years ago for cheap, and I thought, well, it features a really cute dog on the cover, and it's Christmassy, and so I picked it up. And so I didn't have like really high expectations going into it, but I ended up really, really loving it. Yeah, it was good. Now we get to the last book, and it's actually a short story, so I'm holding up my Kindle as a placeholder, but I'll try to put a picture up. And that is actually The Girl Who Stole Christmas, written by C.G. Drews. This is a free short story that she released on her website, I think on Christmas Day. So I'll put a link to that down below in the description. And this is a prequel to The Boy Who Steals Houses, also by C.G. Drews. But you don't need to read this book to read the short story because it is a prequel. Though I think you will enjoy the story more if you have read this book. I enjoyed reading this story. I also read The Boy Who Steals Houses 2019 because I read this in October. It is one of my favorite books that I read in 2019. I think it came out in April 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So this short story was quite nice, and it featured Christmas, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I obviously loved this book more, but That's not a surprise because I just tend to get on with like novels better than with short stories. But I really liked this story, and it was free, so I mean that was great. So that was a really nice read to end the year on. I actually didn't read anything in the last few days of 2019, so I spent a while not reading in any book. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. I'll try to get another video up or something soon after this, but things have been a bit hectic, and I'll let you know more about that when I can, because I would like to do like a best books I read in 2019 video and statistics video and all that, but I don't know right now when I have the time and energy to do that. So hopefully I will still do that. I have commented on a few people's videos what my top 10 books that I read in 2019 are. So those people already know, though it's possible I will actually show more books in the video or something. I don't know, maybe I will not make that video, maybe I will just do the statistics or just talk about the books briefly, or yeah, I don't know yet. I hope to at least do my statistics video, because I did that at the end of 2018. Well, I did that about 2018 in January 2019, because obviously I have to wait till the year's over before I can do that. I noticed some people have been doing like December wrap-ups and like best of the year videos and they upload them on like December 29. I'm like, what are you gonna do for the last 3 years of the year? Like I don't get that, because like if I'm doing the statistics video, I can't read anything else or the whole thing is gonna be off. So yeah, but anyway, people can do whatever they want with their own YouTube channels, so you know, you do you. But I didn't want to make that video until it was actually the end of the year and my statistics sheet was, the spreadsheet was officially finished. So yeah, I'm hoping to at least do that video, but we will see. And I don't know when I'm gonna like do any other videos, because like I said, things have been hectic, but I will try to let you know when I can. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, so if you want to follow me on there, and maybe I'll post something when I can. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in my next one. Leave a comment if you want. Bye!